I remember we played against England at Wembley. I was playing for Scotland, and the first thing was get that Charlton and kick him. You couldn't get near him, just check him. No. We played in a pitch that was a rock pitch. There was no grass or anything, it was just a rock. The ball was bouncing all over. You hadn't a clue where the ball was bouncing to. Everybody thinks they know Manchester United, particularly from outside, but they don't realise how big they are worldwide until they get here. But he was one of the nicest men that God ever created. Oh, what a player, God almighty.
Hi, this is Alan Keegan, and this is part of our very special series with the Man United legends, brought to you by Superstar Speakers. When we talk about Man United legends, well, this man fits every category. He's won everything with the greatest football club in the world, and we're delighted to say it's Paddy Crerand. Paddy, how are you?
You embarrass me the other days.
Paddy, we've got loads of stories to talk about, but let's start at the beginning. A young boy in Scotland, getting into the world of football, tough upbringing. Tell us about Paddy Crerand, the young Paddy Crerand, growing up in Scotland.
I was born and brought up in the Gorbals in Glasgow. My parents were both from Ireland, obviously, when they were Paddy. But it was the religious bigotry in Glasgow in those days was exemplary. There was two things when I was brought up in Glasgow that I knew I couldn't do. Couldn't be the Prime Minister of Great Britain because I was a Catholic. And I couldn't play for Glasgow Rangers because I was a Catholic. That's disgusting.
Yeah. And people think nowadays forget all that, don't they? You look back at that.
Yeah. I don't go back to Glasgow all that much now since I moved to Manchester, but I don't know what like it is. I don't think it's like that anymore. But the funny thing about it, when I was brought up in the Gorbals, and a brother who was a year older than me, he was a Rangers fan, which was unusual.
Yeah.
And there was a tube station not very far from where I lived. It was in Eglinton Street, in actual fact. And Celtic were at home 1 week, Rangers would be away, Rangers would be at home, Celtic would be away. I used to walk my brother to the tube station. He had a Rangers scarf on. Walking through the Gorbals with a Rangers scarf was unheard of.
Wow.
And I used to go and have to meet him afterwards because obviously we couldn't afford to go to the away game.
No.
So I'd go and meet him afterwards to walk back to the house with him.
And what are your early memories of yourself playing football? Where did that all start? Did you always have the gift? Was it always sort of in your mind that you wanted to be a footballer?
Don't forget, there was no television. Nobody had a television in those days. So the only way you could do anything is the most popular person in the road was the guy that had the ball. Yeah. He was the most popular fellow. So all we done was play football.
Yeah.
That's all we ever done was play football. And been brought up in tenement buildings. There would be windows, there would be 3 or 4 stories, there'd be windows at the bottom, and the police would chase you all the time because they're always afraid that somebody would kick the ball the wrong way and break somebody's window. Yeah. So police were always in patrol around those areas. And I mean, I'm talking about policemen in patrol walking, not in cars or anything like that. And they would chase you because the people would be complaining in case a window got broke. Because in those days they'd have to pay for the broken window.
And what about the journey into becoming a young professional footballer? Was there a scout that saw you? What was that story?
Yeah, there was a scout that saw me in actual fact, but the scout, Duntoka House was about the other side of Clydebank, which is a fair distance from me, but they were the top junior team. And I don't know where they saw me playing, it must be at school or something, and they wanted me to come down and train on a Tuesday and Thursday. And it was about 9 or 10, 12 miles from where I lived, and couldn't afford the pay the bus to get down here.
Yeah.
Where, but Duntoka had sale. But then I'd only played about half a dozen games for Duntoka. I remember playing against Ashfield, which is a team from Glasgow itself. And there was a guy came to speak to me after the game. I had no idea who he was. He was a Celtic scout.
Wow.
And he wanted me to go to Celtic Park just to have a look round. I've been at Celtic Park a million times as a kid. They wanted me to go and look around. And then I was still playing junior football, and we used to go to Celtic on a Tuesday and Thursday night and train there. And the guy that was looking after the training at that particular time was Jock Steen. He was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Was he the manager at the time, or was he looking after the reserves?
He wasn't the manager at the time. And He became the manager eventually, but he was brilliant. He got offered a job here at Old Trafford, in actual fact, and I say he was going to come. This was after I'd left Celtic, and his wife wouldn't leave Glasgow.
Wow.
So he never moved to Manchester United.
Could have been a whole different story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you're getting involved with Celtic, you're making the progress. Was it the stages of the U team, the reserves? How did that all work out?
Yeah, but they didn't have a youth team in those days. It was the reserves. I used to go up and, as I said earlier, play with Toka training on a Tuesday and Thursday. And people would notice you in training. You'd play little games after the training session and all that sort of thing.
Oh, was your sort of position, as we would call it now, were you always that defensive midfielder?
I didn't know straight. When I started off at school, I was a centre forward. And then one or two of the people that ran the school team thought I wasn't the quickest in the world, so they moved me back into the middle of the park.
Yeah.
Which I was quite intelligent in the football, believe it or not. And then it went snowball from there. I played 7 or 8 games for Nantucket Hibson. Yeah. A guy from Celtic, the team went forward all my life. He says, I want you to come to Celtic Park, to train at Celtic Park, which was, I couldn't go quick enough to tell my mother.
Oh, fantastic.
My mother was a big Celtic fan as well.
From Donegal?
From Donegal, yeah.
Wow, proud heritage. Just before we talk about that, I love a quote that I found that you came up with, and this is brilliant about living in Scotland and Glasgow, where I come from. You had to be able to run or fight.
That's true.
and then you said, you know about me running, so that's
but it was funny. There's a guy, I can't remember, his first name was George. Loved the lad he was. Went to the same school as me, was in my same class. We had a fight. I beat him, but every day he was at my door. I want to fight you.
He thought he was going to get there.
I just said, look, son, I'm finished. Tell everybody you're not pale out, and then we'll call it a day. And right every day for about 10 days, I came to the door.
Oh, I wouldn't give in.
But no, I wouldn't give in. But when I was brought up, as I said earlier, it was a real Irish ghetto, and there was Irish and Jewish. That was the people I was brought up with.
Right.
For fact, so it was funny. I think it was a Friday. If somebody Jewish out there, forgive me if I got it wrong, but my mother had to clean the house every Friday for some strange reason. It's part of the religious, I think, that they've had to do nothing on a Friday.
Yeah, well, obviously they go to the synagogue and things like that, so it's a bit like you going to church on a Sunday.
Yeah, but it's great when you're mixing with different people and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. So what was it like when you knew you were making your debut for Celtic? I mean, how did that come about? What age were you? How were you told? Who told you?
Jimmy McGrory was the manager of Celtic. Jock Steen ran the reserve team at that particular time, and Jock was probably the one that told me.
Wow.
And Jock had played for Celtic for so many years, and I was so much of an admirer of Jock, you wouldn't believe. Years later, he became a great football manager as well, but he knew his football inside out. Absolutely brilliant he was.
And something you were telling me before as well, which I didn't realise, Jock Steen wasn't a Catholic managing Celtic.
Yeah, which you can imagine the abuse he got.
Yeah.
It was a religious bigotry that was.
But the success.
At a particular time, yeah, but he was brilliant. Oh, he was fantastic. He was supposed to come here, as I said earlier, about when Matt Busby was retired. Jock was supposed to come as a manager.
Wow.
But his wife wouldn't leave Glasgow.
Unbelievable, that, isn't it?
He never... Because I was the one that Matt said to speak to him, because I knew Jock that well.
Yeah.
And I've never been in his house. He lived the other side of Hampden Park.
Right.
And I went to his house, and Jock was, I think, desperate to come in actual fact. Not desperate, but wanted to come to Manchester United. Wow. One of the biggest names in football at that time. But his wife wouldn't leave Glasgow.
Wow. Could have been a different story, Paddy.
Yeah, different story, of course.
So your time playing for Celtic, what was that like? Was that enjoyable?
It was enjoyable to the fact that we were never successful really, and all the time. I was at Celtic for 5 or 6 years, and we got to the cup final. We won nothing. Blunt about it, we won nothing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Manchester United were watching me at that particular time. I had no idea, in actual fact.
And how did that come about, the journey to Manchester United? Arguably one of the biggest clubs in England, but, weren't having much success at that point. How did that come about?
I remember we played the Italian League at Hampden Park in a friendly match, the Scottish League v the Italian League, and we drew 1 each. And I went back to because Denis playing for the Italian League. Denis Law.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of course.
Denis was definitely at that particular time. So we went back to the Central Hotel in the middle of Glasgow. After dinner, we didn't drink anything like that. Most drink we had would be a cup of tea or something. And we're in there. I'm talking to Denis. He's talking to me, and who's sat over in the far corner but Matt Busby?
Oh, no.
And we're both like, that's Matt Busby. But we didn't know. 2 months later, we were both playing for United.
Wow. Simple as that.
Simple as that, yeah.
That's a great story. So, did you know Matt at all? Did you
No.
met him?
Well, we knew about him, of course. No, we didn't. I'd never met him, no.
Wow. So, how did the call come, Paddy? Was it from Matt Busby himself? I mean, was Jimmy Murphy involved?
I think Celtic at that particular time were a bit short of money, and it was the approach Celtic that he did, man, because Matt wouldn't go behind. Matt was as straight as a die. One of the few people in football.
Right.
It was as straight as a die. And Matt made the approach to Celtic. The Celtic spoke to me. I think it was about 45,000 or something, which was crazy money in those days.
I know. It sounds incredible, doesn't it? Paddy Crerand, 45,000 pounds. Fantastic.
I know it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me in actual fact. I know signing for Celtic was a great honour, but coming to United was...
And what about, were you married at the time? Were you
No.
So you didn't have to worry about Mrs. Crerand moving to Scotland?
I was getting out with it at the time. I was getting out with it at the time. She used to come down to Manchester once every fortnight or something like that. I'm not sure in actual fact, come back, that was many years ago. She would come down to Manchester. One of the dummy players in those days, Manchester United, you didn't stay in a hotel. They put you in a dink.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the lady's name. What a lovely lady she was. There was 2 sisters at the house in Sale. And then my wife would come down and stay. I think they were in 3 rooms or something, and she was in one room and I was in the other.
Yeah.
As if something was going on, but it wasn't in actual fact. But
Yeah. The good old days.
the good old days. Yeah, but it was great. The 2 ladies that owned the house started taking Manchester United players in because of the crash.
Wow.
You know, in
Right.
58 they started taking, because you saw the club was skint and couldn't afford to put people in the hotels and everything like that. Oh, it's obviously it's all changed, and Matt was a great man for that.
Yeah, great idea though, wasn't it? You know, get the players bonding and...
I think the same digs Morris Serran was there when I was there.
Right.
And the same digger as me, Morris.
So you signed for Man United, and you signed at a time that the season already started, hadn't it? So it wasn't like...
I signed him, I'll tell you exactly the date, February the 6th.
Wow.
And what else happened in February the 6th, 1958? The crash.
It was meant to be, Paddy.
Well, the problem if the crash had never happened, I'd never have come to United, because when you think of the players that played in midfield, the 2 wing halves in that day was Eddie Coleman and Duncan Edwards. And I seen them playing for England under 23s one day at Sheffield Stadium where Klein played, which is not very far from where I lived. And I seen this young fella playing. I couldn't believe what a player this kid is. Pinging the ball all over the place. Duncan Edwards. Wow. Absolutely fantastic he was.
Yeah. It's amazing that, isn't it, when you think about that historical timeline, that if they'd have remained at United, if they'd have lived to... You know, you'd have been maybe not signing for the greatest...
That's true, probably not.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have got near the place probably if the crash hadn't happened.
So your debut, memories of your debut, what was it like?
I remember who he played that.
Was it West Brom?
I think
Or was it Blackpool?
Blackpool.
Yeah.
Blackpool in actual fact. Who was playing for Blackpool? The great Stanley Matthews.
No.
Stanley Matthews must have been middle 50s or close to 60 at that particular time, and nobody went near him. You were afraid to tackle him because you didn't support would have a go at you if you tackled him. But he was a wizard of the dribble. Yeah. And I've met him quite a few times after that, off the football pitch, and what a nice man he was.
Yeah. Proper legend.
Oh, when you think of The great players at that time, Stan Masters and Tom Finney, were the two best wingers that God had ever created. And two of the nicest men you could wish to meet.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
I think probably that camaraderie still goes on today in football, but maybe the press like to change stories around a little bit and make it look as if you dislike him and he dislikes you and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like that.
So you start your first game against Blackpool,
yeah.
And what were your memories of that? What was it like? I mean, can you remember some of the lads that you played with that day?
I remember my memories that I was totally lost. I didn't know. I obviously had trained with the players, but I didn't really know them.
Yeah.
I think Noel Carrot was the captain at that time. Noel was from Cork. I think he was the captain at that particular time. In fact, the support for United was incredible, even going back to those days.
Yeah. Biggest club in the world, Paddy.
Well, certainly are now.
Yeah.
But in those days, I mean, you go anywhere in the world today and you mention, where are you from? Manchester, and everybody says Manchester United. Even though they don't speak English, they knew the name Manchester United.
Yeah. And of course, as you say, when you travel the world, I mean, we're going to cover lots of topics today, but you travel the world and people, when you say Man United, Bobby Charlton.
You're correct. That was the two names all the time. Bobby Charlton, Manchester United. I'm sorry about Bobby dying, but he was one of the nicest men that God ever created.
Yeah, what a player.
Oh, what a player. God Almighty. I remember we played against England at Wembley. I was playing for Scotland. And the first thing was, get that Charlton and kick him. You couldn't get near him, you check him.
Oh.
But the only chance you had of kicking him was in when you were stood in the tunnel waiting to come out onto the pitch. He was such a nice man, Bobby.
Yeah. And what about your old mate, Nobby?
Oh, God Almighty. I'll tell you a story about Nobby, and I'm not going to use the full word. We stood in the tunnel at Wembley. I'm playing for Manchester United. He's playing for Manchester United. He's played number 4 for England. I'm playing for number 4 for Scotland. And I said to Nobby, all the best, Nobby. He looked at me. F off. And he used the full word. The full word he used. And I thought, God Almighty. That was Nobby. If he was playing for England, he was playing for England.
Wow.
And everybody else didn't count. And even his own teammates didn't count. Because Denis was playing for Scotland at the same match, in actual fact.
Yeah, he was one of your pals, one of your best
I'm a
mates.
great
The Law man.
Yeah, he's a great lad, Denis.
Yeah.
What a player.
Yeah.
What a player. I remember being out many years after we stopped playing. We were in a restaurant in town, and Matt was there, God bless him. And we were talking about players that... I said to Matt, "Who's the best player you ever had at Manchester United?" And I'd asked him this down through the year. He never would answer me.
Right.
Straight away, he said, Denis Law. I said, "You're talking about Duncan Edwards, Eddie Coleman, Tommy Taylor." Denis Law, he said.
Wow. I'm amazed, Paddy. What a compliment.
No, for Denis, but he was that good, Denis, anyway, to be fair. Great player.
I mean, when you think about it, Paddy, you know, he should have been a European Cup winner, shouldn't he?
Oh, without question, yeah. No. He was in hospital, got a bad injury and wasn't fit for the final, which was a big blow to us at that particular time as well, when you've got a player of his quality that can't play in the final.
No.
We won, thank God, anyway, but...
Yeah.
And Denis was still in hospital. Watched the game from his hospital bed. And we took the cup in afterwards to the hospital he was in.
So when we look at your sort of timeline with United, your first trophy, the FA Cup,
the FA
63,
Cup,
what was that like?
That was incredible in actual fact, because I'd been as a kid growing up in Glasgow, and the only time I'd ever saw the cup final was on television. And we didn't have the television. It would belong to somebody in
the neighbourhood.
The neighbourhood had a television, and it was the most packed place in the Gorbals, and somebody had a television. I took the cup final when it was Manchester United. The most important thing about it as well, when you look, particularly Celtic fans, for all Manchester United fans, because of Matt Busby, of course, but because of the team as well, the players they had in that time. I mean, Duncan Edwards, God Almighty, what a player.
Yeah, amazing. I mean,
and that, it takes away a little bit from the other wing, Eddie Coleman, who was a fantastic player. Yeah. God forgive me, but if that disaster hadn't happened, I would be getting near Manchester United from me.
Well, it's all about sliding doors moments in life, isn't it? You know, and you know that it was great for you, Paddy Crerand, you know, and great for the fans. I mean, We look at your record with United. I mean, an FA Cup, winning the league a couple of times. I mean, what was that like then to progress to the league?
It was incredible. It was incredible for Matt, in actual fact, to see him when we won the European Cup. In actual fact, there was a song out at that time. What a wonderful world! You're too young to remember. He was singing. It was a group from America.
Wasn't it Louis Armstrong?
Correct. Well done. You're giving your age away there. No, it's Louis Armstrong. And that night we had a banquet in one of the hotels in London, and Matt never shut up singing that song.
Oh, can you give it?
I can't sing. I can't sing. I remember the song very well, of course. What a wonderful world. But we get fed up because Matt never stopped all night singing it.
Yeah, well,
we had a late night because we just won the European Cup.
I can imagine, which leads us really nicely into your really good pal, Georgie Best.
Oh, what a nice kid he was, George.
I mean, what was it like when he first came, Paddy? I mean, I know when we spoke before, you've said he was a quiet boy.
Quiet, shy. If somebody spoke to George, he'd go red in the face. He was so shy, it was unbelievable. But what the ability he had, and during training sessions, after the training session, we always played little games. Well, we'd split the players up, it'd be 12 against 12 or something like that. And he couldn't get near him. He couldn't get near him.
Could you see it in them early stages?
Oh, without question, yeah. But don't forget, he played his first game. He must have been at 16 or 17 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it didn't bother him the least bit.
Wow.
So he was absolutely incredible.
And when you look at the pictures, the footage of the pitches back then, Paddy, I mean, it was all right for you in the middle.
Let me tell you something. What about the fullbacks? His name's going out my head at this moment. Played left back for West Bromwich Albion. And George absolutely destroyed me. What a nice lad he was. We were on holiday in Mallorca. And George was there. I was there with my wife at the time, and George was there. Stuart, oh, God almighty, I can't remember his name. We're out one night, we're all in the same bar or restaurant, whatever it was, and Stuart was there. And Stuart says to me, he says, Paddy, would you introduce me to George? I only ever saw him from the back.
Running down the wing.
And all the others said, George would go by him. But George would do that well, wouldn't he? Yeah. But that's what he said, can you introduce me? I only saw him from the back. I thought that was very funny, actually.
It was brilliant.
But he was a lovely lad. I can't think of his second name. God bless him.
Yeah. So, again, we look at your track record and the success you've had with United, you know, the 63 FA Cup, the couple of leagues, the European Cup. And then I think it's fair to say, and maybe you can answer the question why, it's sort of the success started to dry up, didn't it? It went very sort of stale.
When Matt decided to retire, that didn't help.
Right.
And that didn't help at all. Matt retired when Matt would have been maybe late 60s or something like that, which was young for a football man. But you can imagine the pressure he must have been in. You can imagine the life he had through the crash and all that sort of thing. And what a great man he was. He never swore on it. Can you believe so? Never used bad language.
I think you made up for him though, didn't you?
He comes from Glasgow. I'm not sure whether that's the first or the second one. He was in Glasgow.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've heard some wonderful stories about him, and I know that you know you've sang his praises no end in the many conversations we've had as well.
Yeah.
But we look at United and we look at the history of United and your involvement. So you're coming to the end of your career. What was that like, Paddy? When did you know it was over?
The pitch got bigger.
Literally, or in your head?
The goal became a further distance away. I was never the quickest thing, but it comes at a time, when all of a sudden people are running past you that never run past you before. All that sort of thing. And there's nothing worse when you're playing football all your life, you're doing something you love, you find out one day that you can't do it anymore. And that's for any player. You ask any player today, or in the past, about the worst thing that ever happened to them, they say stop playing football. Because don't forget, every footballer's been playing that since you've been a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it?
And the most important person in any place was the guy at the ball. Yeah. He was the most important person.
So, you've sung Sir Matt Busby's praises.
Yeah.
Let's move on to sort of the other managers that sort of came in or tried to take over. You know, I mean, you know, we could talk Wilf McGuinness, Frank O'Farrell. You know, we'll talk about the Dock in a minute. But what was that transition like? And you seeing it from the...
I felt sorry for Wilf, because Wilf was coming to manage a team that he'd played with quite half the players in the team, and to be their pals for so long and then to have that, Wolf must have found it very difficult. I feel sorry for Wolf in the end, in actual fact, because he'd done a great job when he was coaching and all that sort. He was absolutely terrific, great lad as well and all that. But when you become a manager, it's a bit different. He found that strange, having to go people he was pally with and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That must have been difficult for him.
And Frank O'Farrell?
I just think the whole situation was too big for Frank.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Manchester United is a big club off the pitch as well as on the pitch. Maybe a bigger club off the pitch. And for put up with some of the things you have to put up as a manager would be very, very difficult. And Frank found it. Frank was a lovely man. I think too nice to be a manager.
Yeah. Tommy Docherty?
I'd rather not talk about Tommy Docherty. You can't speak evil of the dead.
No.
No, so...
That's fair enough. I mean, we look at United getting the manager right, and in many ways, there's a lot of comparisons with today, isn't there? Because Sir Matt finished, you've got Sir Alex Ferguson, we've had our sort of difficulties trying to replace him. It's such a big job, isn't it?
It took Alex a couple of years at least, and it must have been difficult for Alex coming from Scotland straight away, walking into Manchester United. Everybody thinks they know Manchester United, particularly from outside. They think, they're a big club, but they don't realise how big they are worldwide until they get here. It's incredible. I mean, you go anywhere in the world.
Well, I've seen it with you, haven't I, when we've been on the tour?
Yeah.
Thailand, China.
Manchester United.
Yeah.
That's the word.
All the fans outside at night, the hotel. Yeah. But they all know Paddy Crerand as well.
Well, it didn't those days. Maybe that's but that just shows you the greatness of it. It just shows you the job Matt had done in actual fact. God almighty, it's not just the crash of Munich, but it's just the players that they had. And Matt was a great believer. He never used a bad language, never ever. But we'd go to the David Hume golf course in the mornings for a pre-match meal about 11:30 or something like that, before coming back to Old Trafford for the game at 3 o'clock, even back at Old Trafford about 2 o'clock. But the thing Matt would stress more than anything, people were working 5.5 days a week then. They were working on a Saturday till 12 o'clock. These people want to be entertained. You've got to entertain them. If they stress that every week, or every second week, you have to entertain these people. They've been working till 12 o'clock. They're now coming here to this. He stressed that about how important the fans were. Wow.
You tried management yourself.
Yes, I did, yeah.
And how did that come about, and how did it work out?
I found it difficult in actual fact, because I wanted to get out because Tommy Docherty was there. Yeah. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to get out. So I was going anywhere, but I went to Northampton and I didn't do them any favours in actual fact, because I didn't move there. I stayed in a hotel, and it's very difficult when you're staying in a hotel and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. What was the setup like for you, Paddy? It must have been totally different.
Totally different. The people that ran the club were lovely people. I can't complain anything about the club. The big fault was the club was tricking me.
Yeah.
That was their fault, because, as I said, I was living in a hotel, and you don't want to be living in a hotel. That would drive you empty mad. Mm. So, see, the problem I had, all my kids were at school here in Manchester.
Yeah. St. Bede's.
St. Patrick was at St. Bede's. My daughter was at Loretta Convent, and it was very difficult in actual fact. And she was in the same class as Willie Morgan's daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that.
And funny enough, Bobby's daughter went to the same school.
Oh, right, okay. So it was all dropping off at school together.
Oh, the nun, God bless her, I can't remember her name offhand. She was a Man United fan.
The nun?
Oh, no, oh dear me. She was fantastic.
When we're looking at the progress that United have made over the years, as you're saying, they're the biggest club in the world. Even then, you could possibly say they were one of the biggest clubs.
There was only Real Madrid that was the competitors in their day.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the case today for size, you know. Obviously, they're very successful. But when we're looking at that journey that you've been on in your football career, let's talk for a few minutes regarding Scotland. I mean, you know, you was it 16 caps you got? That's what the record.
Yeah, I had 16 caps I got, but I fell out with the people around Scotland.
That's not like you, Paddy.
The biggest mistake I made is I'm not playing anymore. That was a big mistake I made in actual fact. I love playing for Scotland.
Why was that, Paddy? What brought that decision to your mind?
I don't know, maybe arguing with one or two people I shouldn't have been arguing with and all that sort of thing. You know what I am, I'm an argumentative so-and-so, but that was the way it was.
Yeah, you spoke your mind and always have fun.
And it didn't go down very well with a lot of people. And my best, when I played in Scotland, actually, I got to know Jimmy Baxter very well. He played for Rangers.
Yeah.
Great lad he was, Jimmy Baxter. What a player as well, but...
Great memories, though, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you're talking about your friendship with Jimmy, but I know that you had a friendship that you could say was a bit controversial with Jim, wasn't it? Because he was a Rangers player.
Yeah, he was a Rangers player, and the religious bigotry in Scotland was dreadful in those days.
Yeah.
And Jimmy wasn't from Glasgow. It was more or less in Glasgow than anywhere else.
Slim Jim.
Jim came from Fife, which was maybe an hour. In those days, maybe 2 hours, because there wouldn't be no motorways in those days. I got very pally with Jim for some strange reason. And what Celtic did in those days, they used to have a meal after training.
Wow.
After training, you went back to this, I can't remember the name of the restaurant in Glasgow. But Jimmy would always come out after training at Ibrox. He would come in, not realise that wasn't the done thing to do, but Jimmy wasn't from Glasgow, so he didn't give a damn. And Bob Kelly was the chairman of Celtic, God bless him, and Bob Kelly loved it when Jimmy Baxter came up. Oh, he loved it. A Rangers player amongst the Celtic players.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. But he was a great lad, Jimmy. But then, the national service was in those days. Oh, dear me, we had a phone in the Gorbals, I couldn't believe we had a phone. A phone in the Gorbals. He used to phone me every night about 12 o'clock. He'd be on the phone for about an hour. What are you doing? He said, I'm on guard duty. I said, you're not guarding very much. Talk to me in the blooming phone, are you? Every night he would phone me about 12 o'clock.
Oh, he must have been bored.
He said, you bored the backside off me, but I'm in my bed. God almighty.
Oh, what did Mrs. Crerand say when the phone rang?
My mother went off her head, not Mrs. Crerand. I went mine to my mother. She loved it because my mother was a big Celtic fan, she was a football fan, obviously, and to have Jimmy Baxter phoned up, she's a big admirer.
I know that you've always been very sort of interested in Irish nationalist politics.
Of course, yeah.
Tell us about your friendship and the sort of relationship that you had with John Hume.
John Hume was a great man. John Hume wouldn't know of anything about football. He wouldn't know about anything about football. And I remember, he was a great lad. He used to come down to Gweedore all the time to learn Irish. Gweedore and Donegal, which was only not very far from Derry. And that's how I got to know him in actual fact. And he was the best man God ever created. He was so straight and honest, you wouldn't believe. That was a disaster for Northern Ireland that he died quite young in actual fact. He was not interested in football whatsoever.
No. I actually met John a couple of times back in the day, and he was such a lovely human being.
Oh, he was a great human being. Every human being was important to him, regardless of race, creed, or colour. Yeah. That was the type of man he was.
And what do you think his influence was on Northern Ireland in the end, Paddy?
Unfortunately, his influence would have been even better probably, but I think he started the relationship, hopefully, between both sets of different religions. I think he's a great man. You know something, I spent a night with Ian Paisley. He was equally as good. Not nearly as good, but equally. He was close. But what a lovely person he was as well.
Yeah.
For just a little bit of a publicity seeker, and John wasn't.
When we look at what you said before about travelling the world with Manchester United and where you've been, Tell us about your relationship with the Malta supporters. You were there for the 50th.
And you've never seen anything like it in your life. Never been Malta, knew what it was, but didn't know anything about it. We drew Malta in the European Cup. And I was playing at the time. We went to Malta. I couldn't believe it. The people at the airport was packed, and it wasn't with people that was going anywhere. No. It was people from Malta. Manchester United have arrived in Malta. Just the traffic in the road back from the airport with people following the team coach taking us to the hotel. We went into the hotel, absolutely heaving with people from Malta. But they were so nice, you wouldn't believe it. But United, it was absolute madness.
Yeah.
I knew what Malta was, but didn't know a great deal about it.
What was the score?
No score. Do you know why there was no score? We played in a pitch that was a rock pitch. There was no grass or anything. It was just a rock. The ball was bouncing all over. You hadn't a clue where the ball was bouncing to.
Yeah. We
drew no score. We beat them at Old Trafford, of course, but I couldn't believe the support for United.
No.
Absolutely incredible. Funny enough, I've been since quite a few years ago. I went to the supporters dinner there.
Yeah.
God almighty, it was madness.
I know. I was there with you.
Were you?
Yeah, it was a great night. I'm glad you remember I was there, Paddy. Yeah.
They were fantastic, really. And what was that place? It was like...
It's like a dungeon, wasn't it?
It was... You know why it was there? Because the Germans attacked Malta like you wouldn't believe during the war, and that was a place they could get away from that wouldn't get damaged by the bombs.
Yeah.
The bombs, so it was just all rock.
Yeah.
Solid rock.
Glanville.
But you were
Yeah,
Glanville, yeah.
Joe Glanville, great fella, innit?
Yeah.
Still going strong.
Same rise like Joe Glanville, of course.
You obviously went into management. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
Then we all know Paddy Crerand for the second career he had in the world of media.
Yes. And I got invited to do the World Cup in 1970, I think.
Yeah.
1970. Myself, Malcolm Mullins, Derek Dugan, and Bob McNamara played for Arsenal. I felt sorry for Bob. Bob was a kid in comparison to my sons. And all we done was argue. It was like, you get into a pub after a United match and you sit down at a table with half a dozen people. We didn't all agree with each other.
No.
And that was sensational for television because everybody was very nice. Thank you very much. You're talking rubbish. Well, you don't know what you're talking about. Who the hell are you? Oh, and all that went on. And this was the way things would probably happen in a pub, but it just became spectacular.
Yeah, we enjoyed it.
And it was the people that watched it.
Yeah,
was incredible.
Yeah, it was a great platform, wasn't it? And I mean, you've always been very forthright with your views and your opinions.
Of course, yes.
You know, and you've always been honest.
I've always been right.
Well, I was going to say that, Paddy.
but that was sensational, that.
Yeah, because I think you did 70 and 74, didn't you?
70 and 74, then we done 78 in Dublin, actually. I think it was Dublin in 78.
Right. And I know that you've spoken in the past very highly of working with Johan Cruyff.
Oh, what a great lad he was. You know, such a humble man for such a great player that he was. I think when you go back down through it, there'd only be Pele, there'd be close to it, and you would think would be better. Johan Cruyff was a great player.
And a nice man.
Oh, a lovely man. But you found that was the greats. Pele was lovely as well.
Yeah.
Lovely man.
Not the tallest fellow, was he?
Oh, I couldn't believe how small he was.
Yeah.
A giant in comparison with him. So what a player he was. So Johan Cruyff was a fantastic fella.
Big in stature though, wasn't he?
Who?
Pele.
Oh, what a player. He opened the part of some sort of Old Trafford there, didn't he?
Yeah, it's the North Stand, was it?
The North Stand or something like that. There's a photograph of him in there they signed, because I met him that was when I met him. I can't believe how small he was. What a player. We went crazy about him in 1970 when Brazil won the World Cup. We got a phone call after the final whistle from the Brazilian embassy in London. We want you to come, we're having a party.
Wow.
So we all went to the Brazilian embassy. They were fantastic.
Wow, what an honour.
But I don't remember what time it finished that. But that Brazilian embassy, can you believe that?
Yeah, I can with you, Paddy. Yeah.
Well, there was more than me. Malcolm Allison, Bob McNabb, Derek Dugan. We all crazy.
Took the invite up and...
I know, but the thing is, I saw the Brazilian team, the top team in Brazil at the time, played at Stoke in a friendly against Stoke. There's about 5 or 6 of the teams from Brazil that played in that game. They won 3-4-0 or something like that. And I thought, God almighty, what players these are. And the first thing I said when I got on television was that away from the time, Brazil's a certainty. Certainty was that regardless who they play, they're going to batter everybody. And they did.
Wow.
And that's why when we were on television, the people, the British and the Brazilian embassy invited us to do afterward. They couldn't get rid of them. But they were absolutely fantastic.
When you're looking at your TV career, I mean, obviously you worked for MUTV,
yeah,
commentary. I mean, the fans, Paddy, absolutely loved you, didn't they?
But I was a fan just like them.
Yeah, but I mean, that's it, you see. That's why they related to you. And you
yeah, because...
You know, but you were never biased, were you?
I was a supporter. You couldn't get anybody out the Stretford and took them sitting on that television screen. They didn't probably the same opinion of what I had.
And when we look at the players as well, this is when we're looking at your co-commentary.
Yes.
Eric Cantona. What a difference.
My son called his son Nicholas Cantona Crerand. Nicholas.
Which was that, Patrick?
Oh, Patrick, yeah, you know Patrick.
Yeah.
That's what he christened his son.
Well, I never knew that. So that's Nick's middle name, is it?
Yeah, Cantona. Well, Patrick was... Well, the whole of Manchester was Cantona fantastic.
Yeah.
Everyone was fanatic. And I used to go up, what's the Irish lad in the restaurant on the hill?
Tim Kilroe,
yeah. And I used to go up there most Saturday night. And Matt Busby would be there. Eric was always in there. Right. For some strange reason, Eric. And the restaurant would be packed to the roof because Eric was, not because Eric, but Eric was there. That was how popular he was. And all the time I've been at Manchester United, I've never, probably the close one would be George. They got the fans at it the way Eric did. Just a fantastic player. What a nice man he was as well.
What a compliment from you there, Paddy.
Yeah, but another. But you find the greats are always the nicest people.
Yeah. Were you there the night of Crystal Palace? Were you commentating that night?
The cup final?
No, when he went in and...
Yes, I was commentating that night. That was at Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I'd said prior to that, I said, get him off. Take him off. He's lost to Eric. Yeah. But they didn't.
You could see it from an ex-footballer's point.
Yeah, an ex-footballer, you saw it. The kick lumps out.
Yeah.
And you just sort of think he's going to have a go at somebody, but I don't think it'll be a spectator.
No.
But then if you're a spectator, I thought, well, Mike, who's the best player in the opposition team? You're going to abuse him because you want him to play badly. Yeah. And Eric was getting that all the time. But the guys, I mean, the television, God bless the true fella, but you television had closed up on the guy abusing Eric as Eric went out for a throw-in. And this guy's abusing Eric like you would not believe in Eric Master.
Yeah. The rest is history.
The rest is history. But I mean, Eric's a human being like anybody else, so you always lose your temper.
Let's talk about some other influential Manchester United players over the years and your admiration for them. Your old pal, Bryan Robson.
Oh, what a great player Bryan was. What a nice lad. You always find the best players are great lads. Bryan was a great fella, Bryan.
And is it true that they used to hold the players' meetings sometimes in your pub in Malta?
No, they only ever come in, funny enough, on a Saturday night. Everybody thinks they were in every night. But Saturday night was the night they always all come in. And the great thing about it, when I had the pub in Orpheum, the minute one of them appeared, because you know Orpheum was a big United area, isn't it? There was always people in the pub anyway, but when one of the players came in, it just went crazy. And Bryan was so popular because Bryan always came in. I'd go to Mass on a Sunday at 11 o'clock and back for 12 o'clock to open the pub. Bryan would be there waiting me. But that was the only time you ever saw him in actual fact. Maybe a Saturday, but certainly a Sunday. I always saw him on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But everybody thought he was in every night or something. He certainly wasn't. He couldn't be the player that he was, and the fitness and physicality that he had without looking after himself.
What was it like when you were looking at the class of 92 coming through? Could you tell that you were a good bunch of lads?
Yes. The ability they had was incredible. I think anybody that saw them, I used to go and watch all the youth games. Used to go down to Carrington a lot when they were playing at Carrington and that. They're still in Carrington yet. They're still using training quarters. But the class of 92, you saw some of the players. Would you want to play against Nicky Butt? I certainly wouldn't.
Hard as nails.
Oh, but could play as well. That's the great thing about it.
Yeah.
And his uncle used to come into the pub with me, and he was a City fan.
Really?
Yeah.
And what about Beckham?
Yeah, great. What a lovely people. Funny enough, I sat beside his dad at the game the other night. Right. His dad was always a fanatical United fan.
Yeah.
Even going back to my day when I was playing at United, he was supporting. He was only a kid, but that was his team, United. Yeah. It must have been a thrill for him from David to go there.
Definitely.
And David was a United fan, obviously, as well, taken after his father. But he turned out to be the great player he was, and his father, giving his father the privilege and pleasure of watching him play all the time.
And the Neville brothers?
Fantastic. Their father was another United fanatic as well. I got to know him very well down through the years as well. I mean, it must be great if you're a parent and all of a sudden your lads playing for the team you support, regardless of the team. And if you support that team and to see your sons playing, it must be incredible.
Gary's a quiet lad, isn't he?
Since when? I love listening on television.
Yeah.
He's always got an opinion, and I think that's great. Whether you agree with it or not, he's terrific. He's great in television. What would you say? There's got to be a word for it, because television loves them. Yeah. Television loves people like to be on that disagree with everybody.
Yeah, well, it can be controversial.
Oh, that's the word I was missing out. He's controversial all the time.
Yeah.
But good on him.
Yeah, exactly.
He knows what he's
I love
talking
listening
about.
to him. I
He
think
knows what he's talking about.
And then let's talk about your other mate, Scholesy.
I'm such a fan of Scholesy, you wouldn't believe. What a player.
Yeah.
What a player. I remember many years ago, and he was just making his way into the team at that time, and John Doherty, God bless him, he played for United, was in the crash, all that. But what a great player he was. And John says to me one day, "We seen Paul Scholes playing." And I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "What a player this kid is. You've got to watch him."
Wow. And that's from John Doherty.
John Doherty, what a compliment that is.
Yeah.
He's something there with the great players that ever played for United, Paul Scholes, no question. Yeah. Absolutely genius.
I did an event with Lou Macari recently, and he was surprisingly, Paddy, singing your praises, you know. But apparently you were responsible for him signing for United. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, Tommy Dock was a manager at that particular time. And Tommy Dock, to be fair, was a fan of Lou Macari's. Who wasn't? He was actually in Liverpool when I met him. I think it was Liverpool. Yeah. He was going to sign for Liverpool.
Yeah, Shankly invited him to watch a game.
Yeah. And I don't know what, that's correct. I finished up sitting beside him at the game, Lou Macari. I says, "What are you doing here, Lou?" He says, "I'm simply going to Liverpool." Don't. Let me speak to Tommy Doherty and see what happens. Tommy would be delighted as well if Louis signed for United. But Louis wants to come to United.
Yeah. A great signing as well.
Oh, he was a great player for United. But as I said, he wanted to come to Old Trafford. That's half the battle, wasn't it?
It is half the battle, isn't it?
I don't think Bill Shank was too any like to me after that. Bill was a great fella, actually. Bill was a lovely man.
When you're looking at the history of Manchester United and the career that you've had, who are the captains that stand out over the years? You know, when you look back at your captains and
No, Cantona was great.
What made him great?